as an entrepreneur, like, how do I say this? My thought process has always been to reinvest everything back into the business and reinvest and continue to build and build and build, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, no one else is going to pay you. And so you have to pay yourself. And it's something that I have personally struggled with, because every dollar I make, I want to go back. I want to go back into the business. And to some degree, that's good because it pushes you and it makes you, continue to hustle and to push and to grind. But at some point also, it's good to recognize the time that you're putting in. Like, I have no problem paying somebody else what they are worth if they're adding value, but it can be a struggle to pay yourself for that time that you put in. And so I'm not saying, hey, take every dollar of profit, out of the business and do that. But at the same time, don't be afraid to pay yourself a little bit and to budget that in, because if you don't start doing that, then your expenses will always eat up that margin that you could have paid yourself. It's always going to be there. But if you force it and, in terms of like, this is part of the budget and it's part of the actual cash flow, then you'll start making decisions that are a little bit different, and it can be good. So it's a balance, but it's something that I wish I had recognized a little bit earlier.
And if you did recognize that, I'm curious, I'm trying to think about, like, is there a specific action that somebody could take if they're like acknowledging it now, but what should they do immediately to start helping with that?
Yeah, I think having control of your finances is really big as an entrepreneur. Like, actually knowing what your P&L looks like, not just like, in your head,
Okay.
but like actually knowing what it looks like and kind of building out a cash flow forecast and statement, like knowing what that looks like, because there's a lot of things that I end up paying for that are really a lot less valuable than money toward, like, that I could just take out and actually pay myself for that time.
Okay.
So it will force you to kind of recognize those things and what they look like. Again, it's not something where it's like, hey, you should take it. You keep reinvesting in your business. That's how you're going to grow. All of my money, I reinvest back into my own businesses. It's not doing stocks. It's either in real estate or into my actual businesses to grow. But at the same time, it's good to don't be afraid to pay yourself. But you have to have a good understanding of what your financial position in order to do that and to make decisions that will allow you to pay yourself too.
And is there a point, though, an exit strategy for you on that when you're like, okay, now I'm not worried about that? Like, is there a number you got to get to? Like,
I think I have goals financially to allow me to do things more from a lifestyle standpoint, in terms of, a lot of that really, I'm more of an experience type of person. So most of that kind of comes down to travel, as opposed to like more material things. But I definitely have goals to get there. Now, I think when I say this too, right? Like, I think because I've been so focused on reinvesting in my business, then whenever it is time to like pay myself something, I have guilt about it. And so I think that's the thing that I could tell the younger version of myself, like, it's not something that I should feel guilty about. In fact, it's something that like, I should do, because if I don't, it's just never going to happen. There's always going to be more and more expenses that creep up magically. It's kind of like that. I don't know what the rule is called, but where the time it takes to do something
Parkinson's
naturally expands into the time that you have. And I think expenses, like finances, are the same way. Like, it will naturally fill up the margins that you do create. You're going to spend more money, and you're going to, what's that law called?